All right, you want to get leaner. There's 3 reasons why you probably should eat more. In fact, oftentimes eating more will get you there faster. Check this out.
Can we get sued for getting people fat or giving advice like that? Is that possible? No. We can't, can we?
Don't say that. Yeah. That's true. No, this is true. You guys know how true this is. A lot of people don't realize. So getting leaner is what we're talking about, right? Body fat loss, not just weight loss. And there's 2 approaches. One is to go right into the calorie deficit, start the body off with trying to lose weight. The second approach is to boost the metabolism, to allow your body or to encourage your body to have this kind of sustainable effect where you have a faster metabolism, and then weight loss becomes easier later on. And you have to fuel your body to do that. You can't just go into a calorie deficit.
Well, the truth is one way works, the other way does not. Even if you temporarily lose a little bit of weight by going right into a caloric deficit, it's just not sustainable. It took me at least 10 plus years of my career to kind of figure that out with my clients. It didn't matter if you needed to lose 5 or 10 pounds or you need to lose 100 pounds. The formula for everybody was to reverse diet. So add calories, add food to their diet, and then build their metabolism to then reverse them out and then lower the calories later on. If you went straight to the move more, cut calories, it temporarily might show a little bit of weight loss because you did exactly that, right? And we understand law of thermodynamics, but that's a losing game. And more often than not, people were under eating the nutrients that their body needs to be healthy and fit. So more often than not, my clients didn't eat enough fiber, they weren't eating enough protein, healthy fats. They were overeating things like carbs and sugar. That's what got them in that situation. But they weren't eating enough to build a muscular, built, firm physique. And that is what's going to help us metabolically. And so the formula became, no matter how much you needed to lose, was actually to increase calories in order to lean out.
Yeah, so we got to take a step back, right? If you're going to cause any kind of fat loss or weight loss, you do need to take in less calories than you burn, or you need to burn more calories than you take in. But people what they don't understand is the calories out, the burn process. Yes, you can move more to cause that to happen. Your body adapts very quickly to that. However, you can speed the metabolism up to make that happen as well. And so what you want to do, if you're in this situation, you're 30 pounds overweight, you're taking in this many calories, you're burning this many calories, so you're just stationary, 30 pounds overweight, that's it. I can get my metabolism to speed up first. If I do that first, this makes it a lot easier later on, because if I just cut my calories, my body will start to figure out how to burn less calories. And it does this by paring muscle down. By the way, this is in combination with strength training. We got to make sure we say this. You don't just eat more to speed up your metabolism.
Then you don't have to white knuckle it either.
Yeah, no.
Because you're going to get to a point where you're cutting your calories, and then it's not going to work for you any longer, and you're going to hit a wall. And then just to keep cutting to lose weight, this is just a trap that you're going to set yourself up for. So
right. So you increase your protein, you bump your calories a little bit, you strength train, and you build muscle, and that speeds up your metabolism. This also improves oftentimes your hormone profile. And you often see this with clients where when they hire me, and I did this towards the back half of my career, to the people who would comply, I'd get them to go get a hormone panel done, or I'd have them work with a functional medicine practitioner. And what we would see through the building process was this improvement in their hormone profile. And that's mainly because the muscle building process requires a youthful hormone profile. It actually encourages it, right? So as you build muscle, you increase androgen receptor density, so your testosterone becomes essentially more testosterone. You see your cortisol start to balance out. In women, because insulin sensitivity goes up, which is what happens when you build muscle, there's this great relationship between insulin sensitivity and the balancing of estrogen and progesterone. In fact, this is why you see with PCOS, oftentimes in combination with PCOS is insulin resistance. So you get this balancing of the hormones, this muscle building, metabolism boosting effect, which sets us up so nicely for fat loss later on. Otherwise, you just cut your calories. My body then goes, okay, we're taking in less calories. How do we burn less calories to survive off these lower calories? And it makes you lose muscle. And this isn't just our experience. The data on this is very clear now. We have lots of data to show that when you just eat less and you lose, let's say, 20 pounds, it's pretty much guaranteed that 8 to 12 of those pounds will be muscle. Now you're in a slower metabolism situation. You've lost fat, but you've also lost a lot of muscle. And now you've plateaued. So, okay, great. I'm eating 1,500 calories. I lost some weight. Now I'm stuck. Where do I go now? What do I do now? Eat less? Eat 1,000 calories? Try and do even more exercise?
Well, the cool part about going through eating more and like kind of going with that path in terms of like introducing food, obviously you're not going to eat more crap for food.
I'm glad you said that.
You're going to eat like good whole foods, but really introducing them to more protein options, like animal proteins, and then fiber options, something like that, to where naturally you're just going to limit the amount of calories that you eat just because of the satiating effect, and how you're going to build this palate too that's going to seek more of these type of nutrient dense foods.
You know, this conversation also highlights the number one problem with GLP-1s.
Yes.
So if there was a drawback or negative outcome from GLP-1s, it would be this right here, because many people are going to doctors and they're morbidly obese, and doctors are saying, here, get on a GLP-1, and instead of doing what we're talking about right now, which is reverse dieting, increasing protein, increasing fiber, strength training, build muscle, build the metabolism, and then slowly reduce for a more sustainable, realistic weight loss journey, they're putting them on a GLP-1 and they're taking the client. It doesn't matter if they're at 2,000 calories, 4,000 calories, and they're dramatically cutting them. And so they're seeing this weight loss. And so everyone's reporting, oh my God, I'm dropping weight. But the inevitable happens. They hit a plateau and they're no longer losing weight. And they kind of have two options. Either one, increase the dose of GLP-1.
Eat even less.
And eat even less. Or pull off and go back the other direction. Which, by the way, it comes on like crazy.
By the way, we have to say too, what you'll get by eating less and less and less, even if it does result in more and more weight loss, is reduced energy and vibrance and a reduction in quality of life. Like at some point, the lower calories, you don't feel good on them. In fact, that's one of the biggest complaints with people on a GLP-1 when they plateau is they don't have a lot of energy. Well, yeah, you lost muscle. You didn't strength train. Your protein intake went down even more because of the GLP-1, and you just don't feel good as a result. By the way, we worked with 50 people who were using GLP-1s, and the number one challenge that these people gave us, the number one complaint and challenge was, wow, I went on it, I lost 30 pounds, I have 30 more to go or 20 more to go.
But I'm stuck.
And I'm tracking my calories because I'm on the GLP-1. I'm tracking
already down to 1,700 or 1,500 calories
or less. Remember, there was a few people at like 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to get into the like essential nutrient, territory. Like if I go down even lower, I'm not even going to get essential. I'm just going to feel like garbage.
Malnourished to that point.
That's right. So boosting the metabolic rate, improving insulin sensitivity, building muscle, sets you up for success. If you don't set yourself up for success, you are 100% going to result in this hard wall plateau where your body's pared muscle down, and then you're really screwed. And by the way, another thing to consider, if you lost 30 pounds and 15 pounds of it was muscle, from a body fat percentage standpoint,
you didn't get any better.
You didn't really go down that much,
no.
if at all. In other words, you're a smaller, weaker, because you lost muscle, same flabbiness version of yourself with a slower metabolism. So it's like, like what do I do now? So that's why it's so important. So, and by the way, all of us as trainers, we train people for over 2 decades. I, as an early trainer, did the cut calories and just run your butt off approach in the first half. It wasn't until the second half of my career when I looked back and went, that's not working. People will lose weight, they gain it back. We end up in these really terrible situations where they don't want to work out anymore. They can't cut their calories even more. Maybe we should focus on building first. Yeah. When I did that, my success rate went through the roof. This also, we're not even talking about the psychological aspect of this. Imagine going into this weight loss strategy or journey, and instead of being like, I'm going to cut all these things, I'm going to eat more protein. I thought I had to cut my calories. Don't worry about that for now.
More of a win.
Eat your protein, go to the gym, lift some weights, and see if you can get strong and set yourself up. That is a winning strategy from a psychological standpoint. This is why towards the end of my career, it was like, before we cut calories, I'm seeing how much protein you're intaking. It's 70 grams a day or 50 grams a day, which was common. I'm going to have you eat 130 grams of protein a day. Eat it first. We're going to get your fiber from 3 grams a day to 25. Let's just let's just aim those 2 things, and let's strength train. And in the first 2-3 months, they wouldn't really lose much weight on the scale. Everything would kind of hover, but we would see this kind of like hardening effect on their body. They would feel more sculpted, more firm. They might lose a couple pounds, although their friends would often comment and say things like, you look like you lost 10 pounds or more, just because body fat's so voluminous on a pound for pound basis versus muscle. And then we would be in a situation where, I got their metabolism to a wonderful place where, wow, you're eating 2,900 calories a day. Now I can bring you down to 2,000 and we can lose 30 pounds. And then you're at 2,000 calories with your success versus what we might have done before, which is bringing you down to 1,000 calories a day. And guess what? You get to eat 1,000 calories for the rest of your life. You go anything above that, you're going to gain weight. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
Speaking of the psychology part, is it an American thing or is it a human nature thing? The rebellious, what you're talking about is so true, right? That we have this, if you tell a client they can't, they shouldn't, don't, then there's this.
I think that's a human thing.
Is it a human thing or is it an American thing to be rebellious like that?
I think that's a human thing. I think when someone anticipates that you're going to tell them to eat less because they want to lose weight, and then you tell them, no, eat more, this will result in better results. I think it takes them by surprise and they don't feel restricted, right? Even though you're still telling them to do something, so there's still an element of I got to do what I'm told.
It's so powerful that I would even correct my clients the way they would communicate stuff, right? When I catch a client saying things like I can't have that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You don't want to because you're choosing not to because you know how it makes you feel and you know it doesn't support your goals. And so I think it's so powerful to even if you're a trainer and you're listening to this is not only is this a better, more appropriate, more successful strategy, but it also helping your clients with the way they communicate to themselves. Mm-hmm. Because it's one thing to do these things, another thing too for them to actually take it all in and follow it, and then also watch how they talk to themselves. Because clients will do that where they're on this plan, they're like, oh, I can't have this, or my trainer said this, or that's bad, and you do that, and you're constantly telling yourself that it's human nature, I guess, if it's not American, to want to rebel, and it's only a matter of time before they swing the other way and they binge, You
know what else happens from this strategy of feeding yourself more with, I'm glad you said that, Justin, earlier, good quality whole natural foods. We're not telling you to eat more garbage. Yeah. That's a terrible strategy.
Yeah, don't do that.
But eat more whole natural foods, focus on protein, strength train, get the metabolism faster. One of the other effects of that is better sleep. What you find with these strength training studies in particular is an improvement in sleep quality in particular. Now, why is that important for fat loss? It's incredibly important for fat loss. There's a few interesting studies done on the subject where they'll take groups of people, put them in the same calorie restriction. One group sleeps 5 hours a day, the other group sleeps 8 hours a day. So it's like poor sleep versus good sleep. And they're both calorie restricted. Both groups will lose the same weight, but the group with the 5 hours of sleep would lose twice as much muscle, half as much body fat. The body was adapting to the high stress of the poor sleep by reducing its caloric demands. This is one of your body's primary ways of adapting to stress, is by making itself easier to maintain with a slower metabolism. So that's the same calories, not to mention the effect it has on appetite and cravings. So they'll do studies also where they'll sleep deprive people for a day or two. I mean, very short, like just 1 or 2 nights of sleep. And their ability to avoid hyperpalatable foods or sweets or desserts is significantly diminished. And then, of course, the anecdote, right, where you're up late, you go out with your friends or whatever. This is typically when the worst decisions are made. With food. So sleep is really important. And what we're saying also improves sleep.
Just being aware of that's such a powerful too. I remember the first time that I explained that to Katrina. When you have those cravings, how often it ties back to a poor night's of sleep, and just becoming aware of that helps you, right? Knowing that, oh, I had a rough night's of sleep, and so here's a day, because one of the worst things you can do on a day of worst night of sleep, and then you get behind on calories or nutrients for the day, and then the cravings are just ravenous. It's like, oh my God, you didn't eat breakfast because you were in a hurry, because you didn't sleep very well, and then come lunchtime, you still haven't had anything, and so then you're craving junk right then.
Yeah.
So, but if you know that, oh wow, when I get poor night's sleep, I know the cravings are going to be that much more difficult to deal with, then you do things, or you say like, oh, if I really want that pizza, or I really want that thing, like I'll have it, but I'll have it on Thursday. You know, I'll have it Friday. Friday we're gonna plan a pizza night or have something like that. And I can't tell you how many times just giving myself the permission that I can have that food that I'm craving momentarily, recognizing that I've had poor sleep, and so that's why it feels that way. Making sure I'm disciplined to get past that part, and then that craving passes, and it's like, no,
Yes.
I'm on a roll. I don't need to have pizza on Friday.
Now,
Keep going.
Now, again, to recap, I'll give a good analogy. It would be like you have a car, and one of your strategies is to increase the size of the engine so it burns more gasoline. That's exactly what you do when you build muscle through strength training and fuel that muscle. By the way, that's why we're talking about eating more, because you can't just strength train. You have to feed the new tissue. Your body has to have the building blocks to do so.
Horsepower.
By the way, this is another way to create a deficit. So what sometimes happens, and I would say probably a majority, but not the great majority, like 70% of the time, when I would have people do this, I wouldn't even have to cut calories. I wouldn't even have to cut their calories till much later, because what would happen is as the metabolism was boosting, then the deficit would
Creates a
naturally,
natural deficit.
yeah, and I would see the snowball effect of fat loss. Like, and this typically would take, maybe 2 or 3 months. By 2 or 3 months, we would start to see people drop body fat, and we haven't even tried cutting calories. And they're like, how is this possible? We've taught your body to burn more calories on its own.
Yeah.
When I would track this with some clients, this was to the tune of routinely 500 calories a day. I could get someone's metabolism faster. In some cases, much more. I mean, I had one young woman, I'll never forget. She was running daily. She was working out like crazy, trying to burn everything. She was cutting her calories. She hired me, dramatically reduced her activity, focused on strength training, getting stronger, started feeding her more. By the end of that process, it was a year-long process. There was so much damage she had done to her body that she was eating over 1,200 calories more than what she was eating before, with far less of the activity, and she was way leaner.
Isn't it ironic? I was just thinking, because we brought up the GLP-1, how we've been seeking this, miracle weight loss like pill that we could have forever. And this was like the big thing that, like, if we get this, then everybody's going to get healthy. And it's all the same problems. It's just accelerated right in front of you. So that timeline, kind of shrinks in terms of like being able to be in a deficit for that long and get to that point where you hit a wall. It's like it just happens a lot quicker, and then they have to actually, put the work in that we always try to promote from the very beginning.
It does. Doesn't it feel like, or at least it feels like this for me. It feels like in our lifetime we will see the magic pill answered.
It has to be a muscle pill.
And then the other one that we talk about too is the like 3D printing and things, right? Like in our lifetime, it does feel like we will reach a point where most can have most things, and or you'll be able to take a pill or thing to lose whatever weight, or even stuff down that they're talking about will actually help build muscle, right, and lose weight simultaneously, right? That's the fourth generation, right?
Holy grail.
That's the fourth generation GLP-1.
Yeah, but you still have to feed. I mean, they're not going to be able to create something that's going to make you build out of thin air. You're still going to have to figure out a way to fuel that. And there's some, there is no GLP-1 that's going to be effective as anabolic steroids. And you could give anabolic steroids to the average person, not have them strength train, and they're not gaining a bunch of muscle. You still have to do the strength training. You have to still send.
Totally.
You still have to send the signal.
Yeah, but that's building muscle. I mean, the most Americans are more concerned. Average people, not people listening to this podcast.
Right.
Okay, most people are just, I need to lose weight.
Not realizing that the muscle is what makes it
right.
happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for that person, it'll feel like it's a magic pill or whatever to solve all that.
Talking about exercise, I just read this interesting study. They've actually now figured out just how much of an impact the layout of your city has on your activity. We've had this conversation before. We talked about
blue zones.
Well, not just blue zones, but we talked about
European cities are like that.
Yeah,
like
how
everywhere,
like city planning, like how much of an effect that would have on overall health. Because daily activity, just from a health, forget weight gain, weight loss, just from a activity standpoint, health standpoint, like moving daily will improve your health dramatically. And you don't need to do anything crazy, just walk a little more. Our cities have been designed to make walking not just not convenient, but not necessary at all. In fact, to go anywhere, you need to drive, right? You have the whole suburb, where everybody lives here, all the stuff places you want to go are way over here. It makes no sense to walk anywhere. Whereas in the old days, cities were designed with horses, so everything was around you and you had to walk.
This isn't quite as related, but I remember seeing some study about. Remember when those like scooters came out, the birds and all that, and then they were saying there's a bunch of reports of like people would be on these, and they actually found parts of the city they didn't even know existed, like all over the place, like because it was just you didn't have easy access with your car, and like you would like drive by it, and you wouldn't even notice, and it was like bringing about all this new business for these places because of that.
Well, talking about the steps, I know you guys aren't paying attention to the series that I've been doing on YouTube, but the last one that just went up, I talked about how interesting this was for me. So, I mean, I haven't really tracked this diligently since competing days. So I just haven't cared enough to be on it that much. One of the things that was most interesting that I had to do was I had to cut my calories harder than I'd ever had to cut it. And I had to like go get on a piece of cardio equipment way earlier or way sooner than I ever would before, because this has caused us to be so sedentary. The amount of DoorDash that I probably do.
We're sitting here all day long. Yeah.
Because I've always had something. I've always had some sort of labor or manual or just moving.
Yeah, even training clients.
Yeah,
you walk.
Yeah, you sit this much. There's no way.
Yeah, nothing compared to how low this was. And so when I've talked many times on here how I would work a client, right? So when that was for fat loss or getting ready for a show. And I use just steps, right? It's like, okay, you're averaging 6,000, then we'll move to 8, then 10. Well, I found that, man, for me to even hit 8 to 10,000 steps, which is not that crazy, I had to schedule an hour of elliptical time and getting on there. And so I found myself the last couple of weeks to continue to see that leaning down process. I was having to do that. I'm sure there's other factors too. I can't imagine how much DoorDash, I can't tell you the last time I went to a grocery store. I can't tell you the last time that I went to a restaurant. Yeah. Like, I can't tell you the last time. Between Instacart and DoorDash, and that adds, like, okay, one time.
It sounds like nothing, but
it does. It sounds like nothing, but when you add it up over weeks, months, years, which it's now been years, since COVID, really, for me, was when that switched over, right? Like, that became.
It's when we figured out.
Yeah, figured it all out and realized, oh, this is kind of nice and convenient. But then it's now reshaped my life and what my normal activity is. And so now that same formula that I had down to a science of what leaning down looked like for me has changed again. And I think this has a lot to do with what happens to a lot of people that have been fit in the past and then they're struggling to get in shape. They don't realize
different now.
That when they have that job that switched and is different now, or their age, or maybe they're not strength training the same way. But all these little factors over a period of time really start to add up.
So 8,000 steps will get you about 85 to 90% of the health benefits of walking that you can get from walking. More than that, and it starts to really kind of top off, and then you don't get much more except for maybe endurance and stuff like that. So for most people, about 8,000 steps will give you all the benefits on a daily basis. And this study that they did, I like this study because what they did is it's a twins study. And twins studies are some of my favorite ones because it's hard to control for like just
the genetic differences.
Yeah, like, you move more anyway, and right. So this was a twin study, and what they found was that for every 1% increase in an area's what they called walkability resulted in 0.42% increase in neighborhood walking. Okay, so when scaled up, what does that mean? 55% increase in the walkability of a surrounding neighborhood would increase people's walking by about 23%, or about 19 minutes a week for every resident living in that area. In other words, the way that we design cities has a profound impact on overall public health. So this is definitely because there's very few things I believe that public policy, there's few things that public policy can do that'll really make an impact on our health. Oftentimes we just miss the mark, like the food pyramid or whatever. Spend all this money on these things and it ends up not helping anybody. But the way we design our cities, which is almost entirely controlled by our governments, that if they just made them like more convenient to walk than anything, where you have little shopping centers and homes and shopping, that alone would cause a profound impact. I'm a fan of the
state parks too.
Say what?
I'm a fan of the state parks too.
Yeah. But just where you live.
I know. I wonder if there's got to be some sort of studies on the people that live like downtown in like high rises, how much fitter they probably are than the average person.
They're leaner and they're more fit.
Because most people, or at least friends that I have that like have downtown condos or live downtown, they don't even use their car.
No.
Because it's such a pain in the ass to find parking, and that. So they literally walk and Uber and they do all that. And so they got to walk up and down the flights flights of stairs and use like
So what they have to do with those studies, I've seen a couple. They control for things like pollution because the side effect of some of these big cities is pollution.
Oh, yeah.
But when they control for that, like it makes an impact. It makes a profound impact.
I noticed that when I was in Chicago, I just couldn't get beyond the whole concrete jungle thing. And the
well, that sucks. You get more calorie burn and activity from walking around, and then you get more carcinogens from breathing those. So you're fucked anyways.
No, I think they can organize them in a way where you get both. Where it's cleaner and look at the way that they're designed now.
They just need more plants.
Yeah, we live in suburbs, right? Like, can you get anywhere really where you live by walking? No, you got to drive it. You're gonna have to walk like 45 minutes to an hour to get anywhere. So like small towns kind of have this. Like where I live is a little bit like this, where you can walk, everywhere.
I mean, I know you guys make fun of me for being in the boondocks, but like I always plotted out where I was next to like some trail or national park that I could.
You're really good about that, going outdoors.
I love that.
I just remember visiting my family in Sicily. These are old towns. Some of the streets are so small that you can't even drive a car through. And I remember going to the grocery store with like my old aunt, who she passed away, but at the time she was like 80. And man, that woman would walk, and we go uphill, and she'd be carrying groceries and going upstairs to her little apartment. And I was like, I'm 13, I'm trying to follow her, and I'm tired.
Well,
and my dad's like, yeah, she does it every day.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the number one things that they've teased out, right, for the blue zones as far as why they're healthier, because they have different diets. There's different parts of but one of the things that's common is community and moving around and like So.
There's in Okinawa, there are many homes like the older houses, the traditional houses, where they don't even have chairs. So the old people, their 80s, 90s or so, they go down on the floor to eat and come back up. So it's almost like if you want to maintain mobility and health in your house, you could probably make a big difference by just the way you organize your house.
I wonder what their arthritis.
Way less.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't do that.
So I mean, I don't know. Are you gonna get rid of chairs though? I don't know.
I don't. Not even that. It doesn't even have to be like, because I think for me personally. One of the biggest changes, if you think longevity, health wise, I ever made was that 2-year stint of mobility that I went on. That now has made it very easy for me to sit in a squatted position. So it's not like I don't use chairs and couches at my house. Of course I do, but there's many times where I'm down playing with my son and I choose to do that in a squatted position comfortably.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be some great carryover and long-term health benefits to doing that. I wouldn't have that had I not put that time in during that period of time. And so now it's cool that, and it happens all the time where we're down, we're playing, and it's actually comfortable for me to sit down in that position.
You just reminded me of the first time we went to Ben Greenfield's house. Remember?
Oh God, we sat in the chair like that.
He stood up.
See, that to me is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he was overboard.
He was perched.
He had a chair, but he didn't sit in the chair. He stood on it and then squatted down and like a vulture.
I almost wanted to feed him like seeds or something.
Yeah. Right in front of us while he was eating. He was
podcasting like this.
Anyways, I got a bone to pick with you guys. So yesterday at the end of the day, okay, we're done. We recorded like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm doing this right here. And
I cannot wait for the YouTube channel to see this.
And I'm like going like this. I'm like,
thank God we have it recorded. So yeah. So your new nickname, what is it? Like Two-Face Mustache?
No, I don't know. We get our beards done and our haircut on Mondays from Vicky. And I mean, she was in a hurry, and she's been with us forever.
I heard that you guys went on a big old deep spiritual talk. That's why.
That's probably what it was.
So that's your fault.
She did one side of my mustache. Bro, I had, and so what the problem is,
you can't distract Vicky, dude. I've learned this already.
And I was so mad at you guys for not telling me that. I realized you see one half. You see the other half.
I thought you were like, he's more shaved on my side. He's like,
it's growing out.
And I'm like, that's just the shadow. Yeah.
That's what I figured too, because Vicky actually did she's like, I'm going to leave the beard a little bit longer. I'm like, oh, okay, she's leaving Sal's a little bit longer. Maybe it's a theme she's trying to do.
Meanwhile, he's all wonky.
The whole time I do the podcast, nobody told me.
God,
it's like having some in your teeth all day.
I told Katrina she died laughing. I really hope that people on YouTube catch it before this airs. It'd be so. I can't wait to watch that episode go live and see.
Because I was literally going like this, and I was feeling it. I'm like, that feels kind of weird.
It's kind of off.
Yeah, and I kind of started pulling on it, and I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh,
note to self: don't distract.
At least she didn't give you just one in the middle or something.
That would have been real obvious.
Well, you guys would have seen.
I blame Dylan and Doug. They have a different angle.
You guys are watching me on camera. Why don't you tell me?
It's their job to make sure it's real good. You know what I'm saying?
I got to tell you the funniest story ever, though. So, like yesterday too, we're on this group thread. You, me, Adam, Doug. We have our own thing. We talk trash. all that stuff, right? We had this discussion about the drones and
all the
everything
drones
going
that
on, all
happen,
this stuff. And so Sal, like, you texted this image, and you're like messing with us. You're like, "Oh, dude, one's right over my house. Like, you guys check it out. Zoom in." And so we zoom in, and and it's this gag. It's the guy that's the black guy.
Oh, that's what that was?
The dick.
You didn't zoom in on it?
No, I did. It didn't. I couldn't tell that's what it was.
Yeah, so you're zooming
Shut
in,
your
and I'm like,
face.
Zoom
thinking,
in,
like,
and it's the dude with the big.
Yes.
Oh my God,
wang
the big
hanging out in
dick,
the
the big
middle.
dick black guy.
the big dick black guy.
Oh my
He's
God,
right there, right?
bro! I didn't even know that.
So okay, so I'm like, this is a great joke. I'm gonna
Oh
send
my
this.
God! Now I see it. Now that I know what
You
it
didn't
is.
see that?
No,
Oh, bro, that's
because I didn't
the
keep.
best.
You know what I didn't do? I didn't keep doing this. I
Yeah.
did it one time,
Yeah.
and then I'm still doing it. I'm still trying. And then he's like, "Oh, there's a cannon." I'm like,
Okay.
"Where's the cannon?"
Yeah,
I'm all trying to see the cannon. I'm like,
Canada.
I'm like, no, I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's just a normal drone. Oh my God,
I'm like,
now
bro,
I
there's
see
a
it.
drone over my house now. It's
Bro,
It's
I
totally
didn't-
normal. Adam's just looking at it and staring at it way
Stupid.
too long.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I guess you're not alone because I sent this to my friends from Chicago. And so there's a group of 3 other guys that they're all like youth pastors and like.
No,
Oh, you
no.
did. That's
Yes,
great.
but they're hilarious. They're hilarious. They're
Yeah,
my
okay.
friends. We,
Yeah.
we shoot the shit, and so I just immediately texted that to them, and I got a few responses. But like my one friend Ed, he responded. He's just like, "No way, no way!" And
Because
then
he was gullible. He thought that was it.
yes, he thought for real that like I had one of those drones over my house, and so he, without even like doing anything, sends it to his entire family, nieces, nephews, grandma, like everybody, dude. And he's like, I just showed
sorry,
my
dude.
daughter.
I can't wait to send to my buddies. I had no
Huge.
idea that's what that was, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
sending it
That
right
guy's
now.
a
Huge
famous.
gift.
That guy's famous. How many times he showed
Of
up?
course
Like,
he's
Okay,
totally
so
famous.
surprise. Yeah.
So this other guy is like,
Sorry, everybody.
I'm
like
sending
this,
it right now.
Who are you
this
sending
meme.
it
to my buddies. I had no idea that's what it was.
You know the guy
This whole time.
Shithead Steve, the meme guy?
Yeah.
So he was selling this puzzle with like Santa Claus.
Oh, and you build it.
You build it, and then it's that black guy with
Yeah.
and so I bought that for him. I'm gonna gift it for Christmas.
Oh, Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
See how
dude.
that goes. Yeah.
I'm glad. So,
And I'm really tight with his family, so I don't know if I'm gonna be like excommunicated.
dude, that's terrible. Sorry,
dude.
guys.
Sorry about that.
My bad. I can't believe you didn't see it.
I did
Yeah.
not know.
No wonder you didn't comment. I'm like, Adam's like,
Because
What a
you
jerk,
have
man.
to really you have to zoom multiple times.
that's why it's so funny.
And so
You
when I
can't see
first
that.
zoomed just a little bit, you can't tell what it is.
No, you gotta get in there.
especially if you don't know what you're. I mean,
It
now
just
that you
looks
told
like
me,
a
I
drone, and then there it is.
yeah, I had to like keep zoning. I
I
had to
got
keep
it.
zooming.
My
in.
cousin got me with
Oh
it.
my God, I didn't know.
He's like, bro, I just saw one of those.
That, well, you might. So my buddies
that's-
always
that's the
use
best
that
prank
guy
ever.
for all the things. Like whenever there's something trending, they always do that to me. And so
Yeah.
like we do it a lot in like basketball news. Like, oh shit, they traded Curry. You see, then you open it up, big black dick. You're like,
Yeah,
"Ah,
no,
it's
stop
bullshit.
it.
You got me again.
Got me again.
That's
you know?
enough.
So
That's enough. Hey, for the first time ever, you can buy the gift of muscle building, the gift of fat loss, the gift of health. For the first time, get a MAPS program for a friend or family member for the holidays. Just click here. Hey, I got to show you guys something. I went on BrainFM's website. So this is one of our partners. Dylan, if you could pull up this picture. They did fMRI.
Okay, none of these tricks.
No, this is not. Yeah, it's going to come up. Boom, get you again.
He's just following
Zoom in,
us
Dylan,
everywhere.
zoom
No. That's fMRI imaging from a person's brain and blood
Zoom in.
flow with regular pink noise. What's pink noise, by the way?
I didn't even know
Justin?
pink.
I don't know what pink noise
What
is.
is pink? I know what white
I remember
noise is.
trying to emulate it, and it
So
got
is
awkward.
pink noise what would you consider like normal and like white? Like it's not.
I know what white noise is. What's pink noise? That's a good one.
We'll send,
Stop
we'll send
with that. That's
Dylan on
enough
the
of that.
Google there.
So anyway, pink noise, then music, and then BrainFM.
Wow.
Look at the difference
Yeah, I have
in
no idea
blood
what pink
flow
noise is.
to the frontal lobe, to the hippocampus. You guys know where all those parts of the brain are, right?
Wow. Yeah. In front of your brain there.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. So BrainFM, for people who don't know, it's music, but layered underneath it, and they call it neural something, right? The sounds that they put in there get your brain to operate in different states of what you would see in brain wave studies, right? So focus, sleep. They can actually get your brain to focus or get your brain to relax through these sounds. And BrainFM has this patented technology. Nobody else has it. They have fMRI studies now.
Interesting.
Wow.
Pink noise is the sound that contains audible frequencies, but with more power in the lower frequencies.
Okay.
Pink noise, it can help you sleep or work by filtering out distracting sounds like people talking.
Oh, so they compared it to a noise that helps you sleep.
So it's similar to white noise, though. That's what white noise. I would have described white noise as that, right?
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Yeah. So that was. Now that's fMRI is watching the brain in real time, and that was tracking the brain flow, the blood flow.
Interesting you bring it up because there was another company that I don't remember the name of the company, but they just developed this technology that they're trying to mimic what they did in the Matrix, where you could learn skills by basically wearing this kind of prodding device that, like, with electrodes that like kind of stimulate the brain in a certain pattern. And apparently it's like 33% more retention in terms of the skill just by using it. So it's not like it's an immediate,
right.
You actually have to go perform the skill, but then you like get these electrodes to kind of
retain it more,
and you retain it at like a higher rate.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
You know, this is, you know why you'll never be able to, I don't want to say never, but why it would be so difficult to have like a Matrix style where you plug in. You remember he plugged it in, he's like, oh, I know Kung Fu now.
Yeah.
Because there's the feedback from the brain goes back and forth. Like you think of something, you do it, but then doing something also gives feedback to the brain. So it's like the whole body is an extension of the brain, essentially. So to try and separate the two is a very
well,
complicated.
The muscular side too, right? You're doing CNS that way, right? You're getting central nervous system.
Well, yeah, the muscles aren't stronger.
Right.
But my point is
not even stronger. They haven't even learned the patterns to do that.
Well, that's
right?
the brain that learns the patterns. But my point is that the way that it works is there's feedback going back and forth. So doing the movement also trains the brain, and the brain trains the body as well. You can't just do it from a brain side. That's what I'm saying. It's a complicated type issue.
I shared that to you guys, that thread, or that guy Jake, I forget his last name, but I follow his. He does all the news for fitness.
Yeah.
And you see all the AI tools in the fitness. Like he did all the top AI tools in fitness in 2024. And one of them, I thought the interesting one was the running pants.
Oh yeah,
that were like built in, like almost like
a little hinge,
like knee braces.
Yeah,
but they add power to your.
Yeah, weird.
So it's like mechanized, so that way
feels
like
you're
walking, provides you power
faster.
Yeah.
Why have you ever worn one of those big knee braces before?
Yeah, but the knee brace. This. I think it aids.
Well, I know, but I mean, it looks like it's just like wearing one of those with an aided motor in it, right? So it supports. It'd be kind of weird, right?
So that's like the commercial version, because I've seen some of these other robotic companies where they've actually built like full on exosuits where you can lift like twice the amount of weight that you could without it.
That's coming, isn't that like a real thing for like factory workers and stuff like that to be able to do that? I mean, the robots are going to end up doing that at the same time, right? By the time you get these exoskeletons, you'll have
they're getting there.
Real robots.
It makes me think of what's that sci-fi movie with that Alien? Remember Alien when she gets in the big machine?
You're still not watching Silo, huh?
No.
Well, you're such a sci-fi dork. Why wouldn't you watch that?
I'm actually ashamed of you.
I'm not even a sci-fi.
You're not going to get me to do anything.
I'm not even a sci-fi.
We tried this with Game of Thrones.
That's how you get him to do it.
Come on, we just talked about this at the beginning of the episode.
He's going to
tell me what not. Yeah.
He's going to watch it a year from now, dude, when it's irrelevant.
You'll like it because
when the science is actually here.
I mean, how do you sci-fi guys describe that when it's like it's a good sci-fi because not only is the science fiction is good
realistic,
but then it also like has these and then it also has like these parallels to like how we organize our society, like the way they organize their own little religion and like you know how they keep control and power, like the little mini government that they build within the society.
They show behind the curtains of like what we suspect, you know, how the power dynamic is, you know, with government.
This is on what, Apple? What's the
Apple.
I think
that's why I don't have that. I already have so many.
Really?
Yeah, I pay for
too expensive, huh?
No, I mean maybe. I feel like I pay for so many of them, and I watch like 2 of them.
$10,000 on DoorDash, but you can't spend $9.99.
I eat it.
$9.99 for.
I want you to watch this. You dig it.
You know, it's totally like a show that you would like. That's why I thought. I mean, again, Katrina's definitely not sci-fi. She's into it. It's got a really good story. Like, great actors in it. So. Another one. Here's one I want you guys to watch. I know you like this because you watched the other trash TV one that you.
Love is Blind?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. The best one yet. The best.
Okay,
if you like Love is Blind, that trash kind of TV, the best one out, Later Dater.
What's that?
It is just like Love is Blind, but it's for like, well, it's not Love is Blind because they meet each other. It's more like it's one of the dating ones, but it's for seniors. Oh. But here's why I think it's so good, because Katrina and I we were dying laughing.
Like, what do you mean by senior? Like 60-year-olds?
Yes, 60 and above.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple 56 years. I think 56 is the youngest. Most have been divorced once or twice, widows, you name it. The thing, and so anyways, her and I binged it. It was so good. It was so funny, so entertaining. And we're like, why is this so much better than all the other ones? And I think it's because how authentic and real it is. You know what you get with some of the 20-year-olds?
Yeah, they're stupid.
Fluff.
Yeah, well, and some of them are like chasing
they want the attention.
They want the attention.
camera.
Like, if you're like 60, like you don't even know how to use. Like they're on their dates, like trying to give each other their phone number. They can't fucking figure it out. Like,
They take a picture of each other's phone.
Yeah.
They're taking a picture of
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Clap on.
So they are not looking for Instagram fame or nothing like that out of this. It's purely they literally genuinely want to meet somebody to spend the back half of their life with, and they're going through this whole process. And so that you watch it, it's really good. It's done really
What's it called again? Later Dater.
Yeah, it's called. I think
On
it's
Netflix?
They
yeah,
talk about
Netflix.
all their health problems the whole time.
I mean, they do everything. But they got all
Every time I
different,
talk to
all
my
different
old
types
clients
of
will always be,
characters
like,
on there.
way revealing.
And I think that's why it's so good. Katrina and I were like, why is this so much better than the other ones? And I'm like, you know why? Because there's always a few people in the other ones that you just get this like, oh, they're here to get their 15 minutes of fame, or they're trying to use this to catapult their acting career. It's like you get, I think the younger generation, they're privy to like how that could help with their social media
That's
presence.
why I like the Love on the Spectrum one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was very
authentic.
authentic, genuine, and it's like, it was like endearing. But
Watch Later Dater. You guys will. I promise you.
Did I tell you the time my dad did that early days when the smartphones came out? Like you took a picture and he took a picture of my phone to get what was on it. I'm like, I could just text it to you.
hold it steady.
Hold it steady.
I got a glare.
I guess that's one way to do it.
Make it work.
That's so
Hey,
funny.
so I want to. You guys remember Joey Swoll, our buddy back in the
Oh,
day?
dude,
Justin's buddy.
that's my favorite
He's
guy.
become like this like
one of the only, I think, 5 or 4 people that have ever blocked me.
He still blocked you, huh?
He's still.
he blocked- yeah, he
he's
blocked
never
me.
unblocked me.
So he's now like he's like this like good guy.
Well,
He's the good
first,
guy now in the gym.
wasn't he like? I mean, he was going into gyms and be like, "Stop bullying them."
Yeah.
He's the anti-bully.
Do you guys think he's like? Do you think it's authentic, or do you
No,
think he's just?
of course not.
Social
Come
media
on,
chasing.
stop.
Yeah.
I mean, he was part of the Shreds crew early on, and part of all those guys that were doctoring photos and shit like that. And it was a smart pivot. It was a smart pivot that he did, and he's.
I miss the days where they came in with their entourage at the like fitness conventions. Remember that when they had like security and everything?
I went to the Olympia. This was 10 years ago. It was a long time ago. It was like I was close to 10 years ago when I went to that Olympia by myself. And I remember I hadn't been to something like that in a long time. And I showed up and I didn't even know like what Shreds or those guys were or anything like that. And I remember seeing, I believe, was it Ronnie Coleman or Cutler? It was one of the big Olympia guys.
Yeah.
Had a booth.
I remember you talking about this.
Big name bodybuilders.
Had a booth, maybe like 5 or 6 people waiting in line to talk to him. But then there was the Shreds crew and Joey Swoll and all those guys were there. And there was a line around the building. And they had one of those,
I remember that guy.
those picture banners of themselves. So like from the floor to the ceiling tall. It was massive. They had like a whole entourage that came with them, their own camera crew.
Well, they were the first ones to figure out how to leverage social media as well as they did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they got the entire idea from Jersey Shore.
Oh, the way they looked and all that.
All of it.
Yeah.
You
think so?
Yeah. I mean, think about it.
I mean, it's really I mean, MLM marketing has been around forever. It's just they were
just
smart.
adapted it to social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just brought it to Instagram and then like
They were first.
and magazine doctoring photos. That's been around forever. So they were just clever enough to use that medium and to ride the wave of the platform growing. Like speaking of riding the wave and huge anomalies like that. I don't know if you're bringing up anything else about Joey Swoll, but you guys know who Ryan's World is?
No.
I've heard that.
He's the kid who was famous for opening playing with his toys.
Oh yeah.
He started at 3 years old.
Oh yeah.
You know how he's how old is he? I put it up there. Yeah, I think he's 9 or 12 now.
9.
Is he 9 years old now?
This is the one everybody references. Like, I could have just made millions opening
Bro,
gifts.
he started at 3 years old. He's like he's 9 or 12. I wrote 9, but he might be 12. I think
Yeah, it says 9 years later, so he's 12.
yeah. Okay, there we go. He's 12. So he's 12 now. And I think last year he clipped at like $36 million.
Wow. And that's all he does. Open
Good for
presents.
him, man.
Yeah, like,
Hey.
I think he started as opening present. Now he's done so much now. Like he does collaborations where he's designed his own toys now. I mean, all these companies have. But I mean, it started off he wanted his parents to record him.
What a trip.
While he kind of reviewed his toys, and it started at like 3 years old. And I think his first year, I think he cleared like a couple $1 million his first year. Then it was like 7, then 11, then 12. Now he's doing like 30.
I hope he's got good parents that really help him, because that's a lot of money for a kid. You know what I mean? That could go real bad.
I don't know. I thought before they're 18, it goes to the parents.
It does, but you still, with that notoriety and that, because I'm sure he gets recognized. You got. I mean,
that's what I would be more worried about is the attention more than the money. He wouldn't even know what the fuck to do with the money at that age. At that age, and if you're good parents, you probably don't.
I
worry,
would not
son,
let my kid. I wouldn't let them get famous like that on YouTube. No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No. But what do you do with that? What do you do with that as a young kid with that kind of notoriety and that kind, that kind of false love follow? There's gonna be a crash.
It's not like it's new.
Child stars.
Yeah, we've seen this with child stars. Yeah, we've seen it with all your kids that were famous on commercials and TV and then remained in television. I mean. What 95% of them are all fucked up? Yeah. I mean, are any of them not on drugs or been in rehab 10 times?
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. So it's just the same thing. So I don't think I would.
Dude, speaking of success, I just read up about Vuori. Do you want to trip off this? Forbes did an article.
Why do you have to bring this up?
I know this was a missed opportunity from you, Adam. This is your.
Why don't we structure this deal better?
Adam's the money guy.
This is actually what made me start doing this. Was watching Vuori and then scratching our heads, going like, wait a second, we don't need revenue from partners and sponsorship. Why don't we take shares in company instead? And then it was because of Youre. Vuori was the first company that I watched right before our eyes work with us first and then turn into $1 billion company.
They got huge.
Remember in 2021, they got $400 million in venture funding by SoftBank Investment Advisor and
which valued them
West
at like
Venture.
what, 4.2 at the time?
$4 billion. And they're halfway to their goal of opening 100 stores by 2026.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. They sell most of the stuff online. But that is just incredible. I remember we first...
Unbelievable.
How many stores they have when we worked with them?
Well, it's so impressive. They only had like 2.
Just a few, we grand opened a couple of them.
They only had 2 or 3.
Which one was it that we went to? Was it Encinitas?
Encinitas. Encinitas is their home base. That's their first one. And then I don't know what their second one was. I think they had one more SoCal. Then they came up this way. They're in the Hamptons now. I'm trying to work on a deal where we go over to the Hamptons and go work with them.
I've never been there.
I've never been there either.
What is the Hamptons? Just like a nice area?
We're on the coast. It's like
I know that, but what is it?
It's like the East Coast version of Malibu.
Malibu, yeah.
Okay. So just like that. Where all the uber rich live, and it's all.
And they call it the Hamptons.
Yeah.
That's the name of it.
Yeah, it's like Malibu.
Pull up pictures. I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah. You've never seen them?
No.
They're the ones that have like the shingles. You know who has a place?
I like that style.
Dave Portnoy.
Oh.
Has a place over there, or Nantucket, which is Nantucket, Hamptons. They're all.
That's old money, right? Because it's East Coast.
I think anybody who owns property on the coast these days has to be old money. Who the fuck is buying a $50 million property?
Or anybody working in New York.
I mean, unless you're Ryan's World, who can afford to buy it?
He can't afford it, right?
Ryan's World, yeah, he'll be there.
Will he?
What?
He won't be able to afford a house there.
Of course you. What, bro? He's making $36 million a year. Of course you could afford a place there.
Yeah. Really? Okay, so I don't know anything about it other than
it's like your
super uber rich celebrities.
Well, it's not billions of dollars, but it's.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, $50 to $100 million places.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that. I like that style. I like the East Coast style of mansions better than West Coast. That like older. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they have way more history.
Yeah,
it looks really good.
Wow, that's $150 million house right there.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
Wow.
But I mean, that's a crazy one. Look at that property. I mean, you can find them for like 30, 50 million.
You've looked.
Wasn't that? What was that one? Weekend at Bernie's. That was the one that.
The crazy part about all these is like you literally have to have throwaway money because it's. Let's say you had the money to buy that, right?
Oh, then your taxes on it alone.
Yeah, like so. But I mean, so let's say you found not 150. That's a little ridiculous. Say $50 million. You bought one for $50 million. The property taxes alone, you would have to live there 50% of the time to justify spending, because you could go rent that $150 million house for weeks at a time, as much as you want throughout the year. So let's say we had a place, or that we traveled there all the time. It's one of your favorite places to go, and 5 times a year. Name a place you could travel to 5 times a year too. Probably never. Right? But let's pretend you go 5 times a year and you stay 2 weeks at a time. So 10 weeks out of the year, you could rent that $150 million place for, I don't know, do the math, a few $100,000. Few $100,000, and you could do that every single year at a place like that with no other overhead other than you renting the place, and you get to stay there whenever you want, to own it would cost you more, and that's not including the loan, the upkeep, all the other bullshit, property tax alone. So it's like so
How
hard
often do you think about this kind of stuff? I'm reading it
time.
out.
I do all the math all the time.
I know you do.
I mean, that's like actually one of my favorite things to do is
they're renting those out.
I get on Zillow and Redfin, and I'm always watching.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always watching the market all over, and especially places like that.
Wish you got us into Vuori when I first started. That would have been great, Adam.
Maybe we would have a place.
You've been a real business wizard then.
That would be okay.
Maybe we have a place
Dude, I got a study for you guys that. Okay, do you guys like it when I bring up studies where you ask the question afterwards, like who the hell needed to study that? Like why did they need to do that? Okay. So I've already set you guys up. Okay.
Yeah.
So they did a study on the things that increase the likelihood that people, or particularly men, will have sex with a robot. Okay, so like, what are the factors that will increase men's likelihood to have sex with a robot?
Okay, so would like would their type of job matter? Would their type of
whatever. What do you think?
Okay, so
think of a guy. Think
yeah.
of men.
Yes.
What is the one thing that's going to make them most likely to have sex with a robot?
socially awkward, a job where they don't have time.
It's even more obvious than that.
Oh, really? Just like
they're
just
horny.
like one
Horny.
thing.
If they're horny. They did a study on
That's
that.
it.
The title of listen.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the
Be-
that's
listen,
the
that's all
it takes.
That's
Listen
the
to title.
qualifier.
Yeah, listen to the title. Being horny increases the
Distance between
likelihood
you and a trash can.
that men will sleep with robots. Who spends money on these studies? Like, can you believe they did a study like this?
That's pretty funny.
So apparently, if you're horny, you're more likely to have sex with a robot.
Well, that's of
I would've
course.
never-
We're not even
I would've
talking
never
about the
thought that.
robot's
Yes,
looks or
of
anything.
course.
This study from researchers at Concordia University.
I feel like that's like a massive troll from some
feel like some
senior
kids-
project.
yeah, they want
Like,
an easy
You and your
A.
buddies are like, I got an idea. You know what we'll study? This is
Yeah.
what we'll study.
What's most
That's not
legitimate?
real.
Men
Yeah.
most likely to have sex with robots. Yeah.
And it's survey based, I imagine.
Yeah. I think they asked some surveys.
Didn't
and-
they try
Wait,
this at a
how do they
brothel
start
somewhere?
that? Where?
Yeah, there was like a brothel where they're trying like robots.
Were they?
Yeah,
Really?
look it up, Dylan.
What
gonna put
do you
you
want
to
him
work here,
to?
too.
That's Doug's computer. by the way.
Doug's gonna be so happy when he's back.
Let's add a few more.
What
You know what?
Yeah,
Hey,
Google
why he's looking
searches.
that up for
Brothel
houses?
with sex robots.
Yeah, we all are curious
Yeah, let's see what we find.
because I'm pretty sure that happened.
that they had robots.
Yeah,
Can someone
Might
tell
have
me
been a trial
why
run.
he's looking that up? Who's the Snow in Wizard of Oz? I really want to know.
Oh
what
yeah,
is.
that was me. So
You always have the ones like that. And don't bring them up. Why?
yeah.
Oh,
well,
it's sex doll
How do I bring it
brothels.
up? I don't know. Yeah. Well,
They
whatever.
have sex doll brothels.
dolls, I guess.
Of course.
That is weird.
I don't know, man.
Anyways,
Give me the Snow. And
the snow.
Wizard
So, what do you guys think it is? I guess I could just tell you. But
The snow in.
yes,
Is there even? I don't even know if there's
asbestos, pure asbestos.
They were putting straight up asbestos
Yeah,
on the ground.
they were like in the air.
Oh, my
like
God.
the whole snow.
Breathing it
The
all
whole
in?
thing was asbestos.
Oh,
That's how much we knew back then.
Oh
Like,
my God,
Dude, there was a town. Wow, Berlin has one. They call it a cyber brothel. It's a first AI brothel using virtual reality sex dolls.
Dude, have you guys seen?
That's
Justin,
crazy.
you'll like this.
Yeah.
Sal won't care that much, but have you guys
It's
seen
about
that?
sports ball.
Yes.
Okay.
The AI pitching machine that they have now,
Haven't pitching machines been around forever?
bro. This is so cool.
Is it just it's an arm that
So
throws
it's a hole, okay? That the ball just so that how the pitching machine to the average person, as far as the mechanics of it,
The
is
regular
the same.
pitching machine?
But what I see as a batter is a projection of a virtual real pitcher. So like Verlander's out there pitching, okay, or
yeah,
Nolan
I have
Ryan's
seen that.
pitching, and it's him, and then it actually will throw his pitches. And it'll show his
Release
wind
it
up
right at the right
yeah. So
time
the
where-
virtual thing shows his wind up, and then it goes, and then when it releases, it comes right. Oh,
this
here
it right here?
Yeah, right here.
Wow.
Thank you, Dylan, for finding that for me, so I don't have to try and describe it anymore.
And does it do different pitches? Like,
Oh yeah, it does different pitches, different
Oh.
pitchers. So you
so
load
you
it.
could
with,
train with different pitchers.
so exactly. So if you're let's say you're a baseball player and you know you're going to go face a left-handed sidearm throw-in pitcher, you put one of the best in the game. You put him out there, and then they're looking at
Dude,
that.
This may be another one of those democratizing elements in the sport, right? If you can literally sit there and map out like your opponent's movements into the tee, that's a huge advantage.
wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
I saw this other thing. I'm so fascinated by like the highest level.
Yeah, I
of
geek
like,
out on that stuff.
pros, right? So I saw somebody did this thing, and I've watched before a game that you don't catch us on TV, but if you're live and you see like Steph Curry will walk around the court
He just makes everything.
and he'll drop the ball, all over a basketball court.
Is it to find the dead spots?
Yes.
Okay.
And he looks for dead spots in the court. So he knows. So he knows when he's handling and dribbling stuff like that to watch out for that. So I've known that for a while because I've been a big Warrior fan. I've seen that forever. And I'm like, dang, that's crazy. The level of like practice and thought that he puts into the game. Just like I've told you guys the stories of Dennis Rodman used to count the spins off the bounce from a rebound. That's why he was so good at rebounding, stuff like that. So he does things like that. John Stockton is the all-time leader in steals by a long shot, like Killer Ray. And so he used to do the same thing up and down the court where he'd dribble and find all the dead spots. But he then would make a mental note of that, and then he would wait until the opposing team was around that spot, and he knew that he could attack and go in and swipe because the ball would die a little bit in their dribble. And and I thought that was so brilliant.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
That's super cool.
Talk about the level of like measuring and mastering
the math
the game.
and that goes on, and the awareness is just absolutely insane.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I thought that AI machine was so cool too.
Probiotics have tremendous health benefits, not just for digestion. They can also help your mind. They've been shown to help with anxiety and depression and your skin and much more. Now, they're not all created equal. Seed is the world's best probiotic, hands down. If you want the benefits of probiotics, go with Seed. And if you go through our link, you'll get a discount. Go to seed.com/mindpump. Use the code 25mindpump and get 25% off your first month's order of Seed's Daily Symbiotic. All right, back to the show.
Our first question is from Josiah Heats. Is going for 0.7 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight good enough for a cut?
It is. The data will show that this is good enough.
Go to 1.
Yeah, I would say 1. You know, there's probably...
Not only that, but it's like so... I always think this is so interesting because we get this a lot where we get into debates with people where they, Huberman said this, and we heard it's like, dude, whatever your goal weight is, doesn't matter if you're trying to build, lose weight, whatever your goal weight is that you want to be at, okay? 1 to 1.
Easy.
It's such a easy thing to measure and track.
You don't got to bring out your calculator.
Yeah, you don't have to bring. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do 0.7.
It's like 0.75.
Why?
Yeah.
And if you fall a little short and you land somewhere at 0.7, you'll be okay. It's just not ideal. It's not optimal. Optimal is going to be above
There's also data that shows that there may be, not always, maybe not, but also may be some benefit to going even higher.
Yeah, up to 1.5.
Yeah,
in a cut
for a kind of muscle preserving effect. I mean, you won't go wrong with it, but in our experience, just to back you up, Adam, as a trainer, people would miss. Even my most consistent clients would miss a couple days a week. And protein isn't something that you store like fat or carbohydrates like with glycogen. You need to hit it every single day. The day you miss it, you don't get carryover from yesterday because you had more protein.
Right, go backwards.
So aiming for 1 or 1.5, and you fall just short, you're always going to hit that kind of cutoff. So, and plus it's easy. You're right. It's easy math. Like you tell someone, okay, you want to weigh 150 pounds, go 0.7 grams. Can you come up with that number right out the gate?
I know. That's why I've always thought that people want to argue this with us that are like, well, technically it's 2.2 for every lean pound of body mass you have. It's I never had a client that was busting a calculator out, trying to figure that math out every time they had a meal. It's just like, hey, what's your goal? Are we trying to lose weight? We're trying to build whatever it is. Where would you like?
By the way, just
the square root of carbs.
And on this is not easy to do consistently. So if you're watching, listening, you've never done this consistently, this is hard. Like if you're a woman and let's say you want to weigh 140 pounds or 130 pounds, that's hard to do every single day from whole food. It is difficult to hit 130 to 140 grams of protein every single day for a woman who wants to weigh that much, day in and day out from whole natural foods. For men, obviously, it's typically around 170, 180, sometimes higher. It's not easy to do. So my advice with this is to eat it first. Whatever your meal is, you look at your meal and let's say you need to eat 100 and let's say you need to hit 150 grams of protein. So it's 50 grams of protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Eat the protein first because you can't miss this. If you miss this, then you get less results. Whereas if you miss carbs and fats a little bit, not that big of a deal. Eat it first. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult and you'll miss. And like I said, this was the hardest thing for my clients. Even my most consistent clients, this is the hardest thing for them to hit.
Yep.
The next question is from _Chels. Just lost 60 pounds and looking to lose 40 more, and I feel stuck during the holidays. Suggestions?
Stop trying to lose weight during the holidays. Make it a reverse diet and build and set yourself up for the post-holidays. Like, There's two ways to approach the holidays. One is to counter the meals, and I'm going to have some celebrations and hang out with friends and family. So I'm going to really buckle down and get more strict and potentially, I don't know, take away some of my quality of life or reduce the enjoyment I could potentially have at, Christmas Eve or New Year's or whatever. Or I could lean into it. I'm going to eat a little more anyway. I'm going to hit my protein intake. And you know what I'm going to do for the holiday season?
It? It's just,
I'm going to build. Silly. I'm going to build during the holiday season. And then come January, I'll be psyched and I'll have a faster metabolism. I'll be stronger. And then I'll start the cut then. This strategy I started doing towards the later half of my career, and it was so much more effective for my clients to do this.
Well, we talk a lot about, we're very pro mini cuts and mini bulks. And so I was heading into Thanksgiving in the middle of this cut that I've been doing for the Mind Pump TV YouTube channel. And it was like, this is perfect. I've already been in a 3-week cut. Thanksgiving was 2 or 3 days away. I could keep cutting, trying to get a little bit more, or I could go, you know what? I've been in this deficit for 3 weeks. I'm going to wait until Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is going to be the beginning of my reverse diet. And so use the momentum naturally of and that's the thing too, is like the holiday. I mean, are the holidays like, do you need to eat a bunch every single day, or is it normally a couple days, right? You have you have Thanksgiving Day, you have Christmas Eve. Probably a lot of people do
3 days of
Christmas Day
surplus,
at dinners. Yeah, so why not run a cut during the days that you wouldn't be needing to schedule a dinner or a holiday, like something like that, and then when the dinner is coming up, or whatever the thing is that you do traditionally, would put you in kind of a calorie surplus, then reverse and go into a mini bulk for that week, and then go back to your cut.
Yep.
So you don't need to, it doesn't need to be like this long cut, this long bulk. It's like run a deficit heading into that day, because that'll actually serve you, because part of the fat loss process isn't just you're in a calorie deficit. You also deplete all your glycogen stores. And so the initial high calorie spike is actually loading that back up.
It'll give you great workouts.
Yes. You'll feel really, in fact, you'll probably look better, feel better initially right after that. Where you get in trouble is when that one day turns into 5 days.
Or a season.
Yeah, right. And you keep doing it, it used to take, so when I get ready for a show, it actually would take 3 days of loading before I could before the what we would call over spillage part would happen. In other words, let's say, and I'll use just kind of generic numbers for the person, a cut is 2,500 calories. And I'd be cutting at 2,500 calories, 25, stay there. Okay, getting ready for peak week, what we call, so getting ready for the show, so 7 days leading in. Then I'd have to go to 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, 4,500, hold that for 2 days, and then I would be completely filled out. If I just had 1 day of high calories, it wasn't even enough to fill me all the way up. So it's a while before you start to tip over the other direction.
What you're referring to, for people who aren't familiar, glycogen holds on to water. It's what gives your muscles hydration, that fullness. When you cut your calories, especially when you cut carbohydrates, you get this flat look to your muscles, which actually can make you feel more flabby. You're lighter on the scale, so some people don't care. But the way you look, because you're on stage, it's all about, nobody weighs you on stage, it's about how you look.
Yeah.
Your muscles look smaller and flatter. And so what you're trying to do is go into the show with your muscles looking rounder and fuller. And so it would take you 3 days or so.
Just to load up.
Yeah.
And the point of me bringing that up, more so than even the aesthetic point of that, is that you're not 1 day of eating high calorie, especially if you came from a cut for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
You're not causing that much damage.
You're not putting body fat on.
No.
You're not. You even having a big 5,000 calorie day, which is probably a lot for most people, is not putting body fat on if you're coming out of a cut. If you've been in a low calories for extended period of time. So that's how I would use the holidays, is I would cut leading into those days and then enjoy those days. Again, still give myself boundaries, like, hey, got to go eat that. If I want to enjoy my aunt's pie or my mom's famous stuffing, I'm going to do those things, but I'm going to go get my protein first. So I'm going to go hit my protein target so I know I give my body what it needs to sustain the muscle that I work so hard to build. And then, okay, I'm going to enjoy the stuffing and enjoy the pie. Oh, wow, I overate 5,000 calories, but you'll be fine next day. You'll be fine if you go back to a balanced diet.
Our next question is from Preachman_Joe. Now having experienced weightlifting, is it best to lift on how I feel or stick with a program?
It depends. You got to know yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I have a lot of experience working out. I've been doing it for years and years and years and years and years. Sometimes it's better for me to follow a program because my tendency is to overdo it. And if in the program it says this week is a deload, these are your days off, and I follow the program, then I'll do what I'm supposed to and take those days off. Whereas if I just listen to quote unquote how I feel is oftentimes I want to do more.
It's pretty misleading.
Yeah, so it depends on you. Like you got to know your tendencies. If your tendency is to overdo it or not go to the gym because you just don't feel like going, then you might be better off just following a well-planned program. Now, if you're really good and in tune with your body and you can listen to your body, and you're not somebody that's gonna, not do the right thing because you're pushing yourself in the wrong direction, then listen to your body. Now, that being said, listening to your body is very important. The sounds get when the signs get really loud.
There still has to be structure there, though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at a certain point, I want to make sure. Like I'm always kind of like cross-checking what I haven't done in a long time, or like if my programming is, devoid of something that I need to address. And so half the time, if I'm not running a program, it's really like I'm experimenting to create a program, and it's like something I'm trying to figure out. How can I address one of these things that always tends to drop off and a lot of people don't do? How can we introduce this to, further strengthen them and improve, some aspect of mobility, strength, power, endurance, one of those factors that I'm trying to seek?
So I think this really depends on where you're currently at in your journey. So, for example, I just came off the 3-month thing that we documented on YouTube. During that process, I had serious goals. I was trying to show the greatest improvement I could. Even with all of my experience, I was following a structure. I was following a program. I was tracking diligently. I had planned way in ahead of time of what it's going to look like. I don't care now. I'm not trying to prove to anybody. I'm not trying to. So now I go how I feel. Because I'm not. So to me, it matters. Like, because if a client came to me and they're in great shape, they're happy where they're at, they're fit, and they're asking me this question, it's like, well, go how you feel. I mean, maintain that way. Maybe you lose a little bit, you don't gain very much. Who cares? Because you're already at a great place, and you're more so doing this for the enjoyment and staying healthy and that part of the journey. But if you come to me and you're like struggling because you're not seeing the results you want, or don't know why you can't lose that last 5 pounds, or want to increase, hit a PR, well, then this is where that really matters, in my opinion. So it really matters, where are you currently at in your journey? And if you are like diligently trying to make progress, or you have a specific goal, then I don't care how long you've been doing this. I think a structured program is the better way to go, for sure.
It's probably also a good way to communicate this would be, you have your skeleton laid out in front of you, but be prepared to adjust things like intensity and maybe the volume or the weight on the bar,
acute variables,
based on how you feel. Like I still follow a structured program. I know what I'm going to do, generally speaking, Monday through Friday, but I will adjust how hard I go, how much weight I lift, and maybe even the exercises I do based on how I feel. So I think that's probably more of a specific way to answer this, is you have your general structure that you really don't change unless something big happens. But like the number one thing,
skeleton, and then you
the number one thing you should adjust based on how you feel is your intensity. Like I could work out every day so long as I adjust my intensity.
Totally.
So I think that's the first thing. The second thing would be, your weight on the bar, and then exercises will be the last thing. Okay, I'm not going to do the barbell squat today. I'm really tired. Even if I go light, it's still too hard for me. Right. I'm going to go do the leg press, or I'm going to do something
risk-reward. Like, is this going to benefit me right now, or is this something I could do later on?
Our next question is from Exploring This Life. If I have long legs, is it better to elevate the deadlift bar for deadlifts?
You know why I picked this question? Because the deadlift is traditionally sits on 45-pound plates, regardless of if you're 5'1" or 6'7" or whatever.
If you can lift 135, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah,
it's the same height no matter what. And it's a totally different range of motion from person to person. I used to adjust the deadlift. First off, the starting point for everybody, a deadlift was always the bar and 45-pound plates, okay? Then I would adjust for my clients based on their mobility. Most of my clients, when I start them out with a deadlift, I'd use a rack and we wouldn't go very low. And I would practice with a higher deadlift and slowly get them better at going lower and lower until we got down to the point when we're lifting the height, what's considered the conventional height. And then I'd work on getting them to be able to use the 45s. And if they never did, that was fine. I would use 10s or whatever, but I would use that conventional height. So I do think it's adjustable. I do think this is adjustable based off of.
I mean, you can. There's always an exception to the rule for why I do that. The only time I would elevate it is if they couldn't do 135.
Yeah,
and because I've had clients like that they had to start with quarters.
Yeah,
and then I'm stacking it.
Because you're not going to go quarters, but then you're down.
Yeah. I'm not going to make them do, because then it's like a deficit dead.
Yeah.
So they're doing a deficit dead with 25s on there because of how small it is. So traditionally, I'm trying to get my client to be able to do 135, but that's happened where they can't, and then I'm going to do rack pulls. Basically, I'm going to put it on the rack and pull it off.
Yeah, because then
or trap bar.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is, okay, I can't do 135, so let me put the 10s on the bar, but now let me put the bar on the ground. Well, you just made the weight lighter, but you just made the range of motion
way more,
much longer.
It's almost like a Jefferson curl.
Yeah, so you traded one thing for another. So it's like, I'm not lifting heavy. I'm going appropriate weight, so this should be safer. No, you've actually made it more dangerous, because it's so freaking low. Yeah. So I think the standard height would be where the 45-pound plates sit. So maybe start there and play with it. But again, I even had clients where I would go higher than that. My older clients used to do this, where I would start them at knee height just to get them to practice hip hinging. And then the way we would progress is I wouldn't add weight. I would slowly get the bar lower and lower until we got to that kind of.
Just so this person knows too, though, longer legs is not a disadvantage for deadlifts per se.
Long arms and long legs is an advantage.
Yeah, it's an advantage. You got to think that means your hips are going to be able to slide further out and be able to, and especially if you have decently long arms, that you have an advantage. Shorter legs for deadlifting would be a disadvantage. So longer legs tend to be a disadvantage for squatting. So this client should probably, if they can do 135, should be able to do a traditional.
The best deadlifters tend to be lanky with those long arms and long legs. The shorter, the sumo style would be the way that they would do it. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.